very sour taste in their mouths. So I get the aspect of it, but you know, I really wish they would have centered it more towards what it really was, because in that show
Yeah.
you think it's some dark entity, it's some kind of like demonic or evil, but there was nothing evil about this case.
Right. It was just basically, I mean, just what you're telling me. I mean, it just seems like it was basically residual energy, emotions, that just kind of manifested. And and I can totally see that happening. I mean, especially from other people as well. I noticed when I lived in a haunted house, it seemed like um, you know, the environment started to get a little bit more overwhelming when there was more people involved, like in my family and
Yep.
everything. And and then I see how, just that energy overwhelmed them to be upset at each other, and you know what I'm saying, and mad and all that. So like, what is your take, Blaine, on like the different energies, especially when it
Well,
comes to like humans?
well, one good thing, luckily for me, I'm an empath medium, so I can pick up their energies very well. I can tell when they're mad, sad, pissed off, hungry, angry, whatever they are. And I pick up on those energies, and a lot of times it's the spirit is so frustrated. Now, Shane will tell you this himself. Demonic is very rare.
Very. It's like
Um,
1% of any of my cases have been demonic.
I've been doing this for 41 years, and I've never seen a demon. And I've done probably 500 house cleansings, building cleansings. I've had some very pissed off spirits that acted like that they were demonic, but I could see their true self. And when I told one, I said, okay, I've heard your demon voice. Let me hear your big boy voice now. And all I heard was, sorry, Mr. Blaine. He knew. He knew that I knew he was not a demonic entity. Um,
Right.
and I just try to treat them like I want to be treated. Even if they were bad in life, I still give them a benefit of the doubt. Now, if they hurt children when they were alive or their spirits, no, they got to go. But most of the time, I can cross them over.
Right.
Um, but the ones that hurt children, I don't even give them a second chance. They're gone.
Right. I can't say that I've seen a demon, but I know that I seen something in my house several years ago, like during the witching hour. I just woke up, like I've been up, and my dog wanted to go out, and I noticed that my dog turned around and was looking at the corner of the wall. And I don't know, I can't even imagine what her face looked like. But as I turned around to look, I see this thing that's pitch black, but it's very sharp looking, and it looked like it had a hunchback with hooves. I couldn't see the head, with a pointy elbow. And as I'm following it with my eyes, it just like dissipated. But I'm not the
Chris,
only one who's seen this.
Chris, what you
Say
saw was
what?
an elemental.
Maybe
Oh,
with
because
wolves, maybe, or that could be a poltergeist too. That is a
Sure.
manipulating poltergeist.
Mm-hmm.
But
I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't elemental, because so much bad things happened on that property, on that land,
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of deaths. I mean, we can go all the way back to the Kawankawa Indians, and they were cannibalists, so
mm,
they would eat the hearts out of their enemies, but
Yeah.
but that land over there, I mean, these people that lived in the past, I mean, they did horrible things to children, and it
Yeah.
seems like that energy is still there because there's about 15 or 16 registered sex offenders that live in that neighborhood,
Wow.
and if you have like an addiction or anything like that, it like that energy, that dark energy consumes you. You know,
Yeah.
there's been several people have committed suicide there. You know,
Oh wow.
so yeah, yeah. So, and I've seen it. I've seen it once. Then I saw it years later in the same neighborhood, but it was 3 a.m. in the morning, and I saw it walk across the street. And when you said my name, Chris, well, it walked to my friend's Chris's house, and it
Oh wow.
disappeared. It dissipated before it hit the driveway. Chris said that he saw this years ago when he was younger. We have this like there's this road called Highway 99, and so there's a bridge, but underneath the bridge there's like this swampy area, and there's Cedar Bayou. Well, you could walk underneath the bridge back in the day to go to the park, to Roseland Park. And so he said at night he was walking and he saw this thing, you know? And like people here would consider it probably like the Goat Man from Goat Man's Road, which I mean it seems like that legend is like everywhere in the US, it seems like, but yeah, I saw it and it dissipated, and something that was similar maybe to that was maybe like a couple of years ago, when I met up with this gentleman who claimed that he had demonic attachments to him, and then like after we had that interview or whatever, that's when I started seeing like this dude in my standing up in my room who basically killed like four people, a couple of months previous, who lived in the neighborhood. He just went mad and he just started shooting up people and everything like that. And then I would see like the darkness of your hat. I would see an image, but it was like a figure and it would start, but the figure didn't have a form. You know what I'm saying? It looked like it was like jagged. And then I'd see it from the corner of my eye. When I look at it, it looked like it was stuck up into the wall.
Interesting.
You know? Yeah, yeah. So I do believe like whatever is over there is still attached to me, to some degree. And I know it's attached to my family. I know it's attached to my son. I know it affects his behavior. I know it's attached to both of my daughters. The one that it's really not attached to is like my older son. So I don't know whether that's demonic or whatever. I know there's dark energy there. I never claim it to be demonic, because like you said, that's rare. But I have
Yeah.
seen children become possessed in front of me. There was a boy named Michael, and Michael had some issues. He was a mentally disturbed child, and this was the time I went into a trance, and I went and basically sketched out this man's face. Come to find out was the caretaker of the property. But yeah, he woke up and he did like a 90-degree turn, and we thought he was sleepwalking. And he went into the bathroom, and then he just started screaming. And so my friend gave me,
Interesting.
a Bible, because they were Christian. And it's like, look, he won't touch the Bible. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I was trying to get him to touch the Bible. This kid would not touch the Bible. And all of a sudden his face started to morph, you know, and it was so weird. And he was just like stuttering, hey guys. And we recorded this on my phone. And then when we looked at it, nothing that we saw happened. That was recorded. And there was three witnesses. We both saw this. Same thing with my son. He started doing that guttural sound as well, and it started when my friend's husband walked into the house, because I told him, like, look, they don't like you, because I can totally feel it. They didn't like him. And so he walked into my house. The fan shroud of my fan flew across the room. I guess telling him to get out, and he wouldn't. And then that's when my son started acting weird, like, I mean, he was like 4. Kids do that sometimes. But he was doing this, and he was the way that he was laughing was wicked. And I recorded that too. And then when we did the playback, nothing that we saw was on the playback.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And yeah, and I believe that Nate, I believe that, like, to a certain degree, but it was just weird. It was
Yeah,
weird. And one part of that, like, before this happened, we had people come over to the house to do an investigation. And that spirit, that energy over there, like, if you're hurting, like if you have a toothache or whatever, it'll just intensify any pain in your body. And
yeah,
so that's what it did to me. I had a toothache, and then my friends went and put their hands on me to pray. Well, everybody had their cameras out, and then all of a sudden, the batteries dropped, like
yeah,
all their charge. And so
yeah.
my
I'm
wife
going
had the
out and
new
coming back
Sam.
in.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on my
Um,
computer now. Hold on.
all right. Yeah, my wife had at that time the new Samsung phone where you can take rapid shots. So she was able to take those rapid shots. When she was able to do so, there was one of our family members who is not Christian. She's a Wiccan, and she has a disease called Chiari disease, which basically the brain is leaking in the back of the neck and in the spinal cord, which can cause, like, imbalance. She's not able to grab things very well and so forth. Well, look, like, in my yard was pitch black. You could not see anything when the ballast went out. And there was toys everywhere. My son's toys in the front yard, and my son at that time, he was a pretty strapping young man, and he was trying to hold her, and she drug him zigzag through all these toys in the yard, pitch black, can't see. Then goes about, I want to say, about 100 feet away, and there's like this vacant driveway, on property that, like, no, nothing was there at the time. And then she just collapsed. Well, at this moment, or at the same time that all this stuff is happening, he's taking pictures on his phone, and it's like a pretty crappy phone and all that. And so there was another medium that was there, and she put her hands on her forehead, and she said, "In the name of Jesus." And their aunt just rose up, like, like something pushed her up and so forth. So when we were looking at the pictures, out of 27 of the pictures, the 26th picture, you can see a bell dress of a woman, that maybe looked like a maid or whatever, was like wearing an apron, but you couldn't see anything else, waist up. And then that picture vanished. That picture, like, disappeared. So when it
Would
comes
not
to,
surprise
like, you know, yeah, it comes, like, to the demonic part of it. I can't claim that it is, but at the same time, I've never experienced anything like that, to say that it isn't, you know.
There's
So
certain
yeah, going
characteristics that make it up too. I have an entire checklist that we go through if someone thinks that there's demonic in and things like that. Exorcism is always our very last resort. We go through the entire checklist. We get them medically evaluated by a doctor. They have to have psychological evaluations ongoing because there's certain characteristics of schizophrenia that will mimic the same thing of an oppressed person. And that's one thing that people don't understand is that a demonic activity is much different than any other paranormal activity that you'll get, and it moves rather fast. You know, it goes from infestation to, you know, oppression to possession to upset. I mean, like it goes rather fast. And that's what it wants to do. The more spiritual of a person you are, the more that you try to fight or being spiritual, the more a demon will attack. And you know, Blaine's right about that. You know, 1% of all my cases that I've worked have been demonic in case. Have I seen them? Yes, I have. My first encounter with one was actually inside of a church.
Gotta love it.
Wow. Wow.
So,
And how about you, Blaine? Have you had any encounters of, the paranormal, which, of course, we say that demons are rare and so forth, but, something that was so dark that it made you second guess?
Well, I did have a case that I did up in let me think of the Centralia, Pennsylvania, that I did. This ended up being a very pissed off Native American spirit. Um, before, because we filmed a documentary up there called Ghost of Fire. Well, we filmed it in two different parts. We filmed it um, when we got there for the second filming. That Native American was pissed off. The ones that got there before me provoked this damn thing. And I'm like, why would you provoke a Native American spirit? That's the dumbest thing you can do. I would fight 1,000 demons over one pissed off Native American spirit. I can tell you that now.
Right.
Because they don't play fair. And I had to finally convince this spirit, look, I didn't do this. I'm on your side. I'm Native American myself. And I want to bring this to a resolution. Well, he made himself, when he showed himself to me, he made himself about 30 foot tall and about 20 foot wide. And I could see solid form of this spirit. Well, when he finally calmed down and realized that we wasn't the ones that provoked him, that we were there to appease him and make him happy again, he shrunk down to normal size. But it was amazing. And that's not the first time. Well, that was the first time I had one that rose up on me, got big. Me and Lee and Matt had another one in a cemetery in South Carolina where somebody there had come and disrupted one of the graves. And it was the Native American was friends with this Confederate soldier. And he was pissed about that somebody come in and desecrated that grave. That's another one me and Lee had to talk down, saying that wasn't us.
mm,
And this thing chased
Wow.
us. I mean, this is the fastest thing I've ever seen in my life, spirit-wise. I'd say this graveyard was probably about 200 feet wide by about 100 feet deep. Older graveyard. This thing would move from one corner to the other corner
Wow.
in less than a second. And then it would come right up behind me and Lee. But luckily, I have enough spirit guides and protectors around me that they warned me that it was coming. It was rushing us. And I finally just turned around and held my ground. I said, look, we didn't do this. Don't be mad at us. We're here because we want to help you and we want to make people in the cemetery feel that they're not forgotten. And then once he calmed down, he was cool as hell. But yeah, that's the two. Well, I'll tell you one other thing I saw that wasn't a spirit, but at Sloss Furnaces here in Alabama, in Birmingham. We were doing an event up there and we were in the wheel room. And this young lady that was sitting next to me, we were listening to an original Ghost Box. And I sit there and watched her take her batteries out of her camera, put them in her pocket, and has not got the other two batteries back in the camera This thing expanded probably about 4 inches, and it made a sound like a shotgun. Well, my first reaction was to grab it from her.
Oh, wow.
And I'm looking at this thing. I'm looking for like structural damage where the screws go in the back. Nothing. I had the camera till about 2 years ago, and I finally just threw it away. But I reloaded batteries, took pictures with it. It worked fine. But I had never seen something expand that big within like 3 seconds and make a shotgun sound. I had all of this on video at one time and all on audio. And then when I lost my other computer, I lost all my information. So I lost that good evidence. But it was amazing how that happened.
Wow. That is amazing. Yeah, I don't think I've ever, the only close thing I've ever seen that built itself up was in Louisiana in Rose Pine Cemetery and in Springfield Cemetery. And that was about maybe 15 minutes away. And all of a sudden, man, fog just started rolling in. It wasn't cold. I mean, I didn't feel like it was cold to me. Something hit the fence. Like you hear the whole fence is like clang, the chain link fence. And there was just no way. I mean, you would have to be, tough because it was all connected.
Yeah.
And everything like that. And then I had my camera and I had my flash and I was taking pictures. And I mean, all of a sudden this plume just rises up and like it's coming towards me and I'm walking back, taking shots. I still have those photos.
Nice.
I mean, they're pretty amazing. Yeah, pretty amazing. So Nate said, for those who don't know, Centralia, I think I probably messed that up. The basis of the game of Silent Hill, they have had an underground coal fire since the 1960s.
Yes,
If we're still talking about Pennsylvania. Yes.
When we filmed there, we had a geologist, and he told us that there was enough coal and natural gas for that thing to last for 2,000 years. That's how much coal and natural gas is under there. And this is funny. The first time that I got to go up there, there was still like 4 or 5 houses still there. The second time I went back, there was no houses there. There was the fire department, police department, which are right next door to each other. And the mayor had an office in the same building. And that was the only 3 people that actually lived in town. Now, there was an old Orthodox Russian church there. And all of the graves were getting burnt up. And I don't know a lot about their religion, but I do know, like, if it's Catholic, it's a sacrament to be cremated, and that's basically what's happening to them. And they won't move them; they're just going to let them burn up. The graves, the headstones, and everything. Yeah. And I can tell you this:
that's crazy.
We filmed in November. And it was cold because it was in Centralia, Pennsylvania. You could literally fry an egg on the road. There was places we did. We fried eggs on the road. That's how hot it was.
That's crazy. And so, like, where is this located in Pennsylvania? Near what major city?
It's in northern Pennsylvania, I can tell you that. I'm trying to think of the closest city to it. Because I went right to Centralia. We went actually right outside of Centralia, probably about 10 miles from Centralia, and stayed in a hotel. I can't remember the name of the town we were in. But all I know is big coal mining up there. A lot of coal mining. And
we had something similar.
Yeah. And it all started.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
It all started because the mayor told a maintenance worker to burn some brush. And that's what started the whole fire. I bet he felt like an ass when a town caught on fire. Dumbass.
I know here we have salt domes that are underneath
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not even sure
we have salt domes that are underneath where we live in.
Oh, right on. See, I don't know if you can even go back to Centralia at all now since it's the whole town has been condemned. So I don't
Man,
know.
that's interesting.
But
I
yeah,
believe I
I
believe
think
they
I've seen
use it. I believe they use it for scientific testing.
it could be Shane. I know if you want to watch it, you can go on Amazon and buy the video. It's called Ghost of Fire. And I think that my friend Robin still has some of those out on Amazon. If not, get a hold of me. I think I've got a copy of it, and I could burn you a copy of it.
Okay, right on, right on. Yeah, I think I've seen a documentary. I think it was on the Travel Channel about that. 'Cause I remember seeing like the ground that was on fire, trees had fire coming out of it,
Yeah.
like in the center of it and so forth like that. And I'm like, man, that's pretty crazy. And then years ago we had like a salt dome fire underneath
Oh, well.
where we live at, and it was burning for quite some time and all
Yeah.
that. And I think now they use it to store oil and and all that stuff. But yeah, that's
No,
interesting.
no telling what they store in there. You want to hear a funny graveyard story that happened to me and my wife?
Yeah, sure.
All right, we're at this graveyard. All right, we parked the car.
Absolutely.
The graveyard's probably about 30, 40 feet away from the car. I watched my wife take the remote, lock the car here, go boop, boop. We're in the graveyard, not even 4 minutes. And I hear the driver's door open. I'm thinking, okay, somebody's trying to break in the car. So I pull my pistol thinking I'm going to have to shoot somebody for stealing my car. I go up there and look. There is a spirit sitting inside the front seat. I guess he thinks he's going to drive out of there. I looked at this thing. It's like, get the hell out of my car. You don't even have a driver's license. And it just took off. It vanished. But I laughed. I was like, ain't that some shit? My car's trying to get ghost stole.
How about you, Blaine? Blaine, I'm sorry, Shane and Blaine. Okay, like
It's all
it's like
good.
like two brother names,
I
Shane and
know.
Blaine. I mean, totally can tear stuff up with that. So Shane, so tell me about, besides this, and you don't have to like say names or anything like that. So what has been probably one of the most intensified experience that you've ever had? Grand Theft Auto Spirit version.
No shit.
That's funny.
Well, like I said, that the one that was in the church that really shook me, because we weren't expecting anything like that, and there was only a couple of us there that could actually work that, and and everything was fine. The guy was right behind me, and as soon as the worship music started playing,
Everything was fine.
he
The guy was
he
right behind me.
him and the chair was thrown against the wall. His body started contorting. He was speaking different languages. His eyes were jet black. You can hear his bones crackling from the contorting. It was a very terrifying, especially when you have families that are in this church, you have kids that are in this church, and we had to get everybody out of the church, and it where it was just me, another pastor, um, couple of the workers, and the guy. And but that was one of the scariest things I think I've seen.
Shane, what kind of church was that?
Well,
Just
yeah.
just a regular Christian church.
Like a
I guess
Baptist
I guess the guy had been experiencing oppression or whatever, and usually, you wouldn't even be able to to come. But like I said, he didn't touch a Bible, he didn't touch nothing. He was just inside the church. But the second that worship music started and the mention of Jesus was started, it made what what was inside of him so angry and so frustrated that it lashed out against that man. And that's exactly what demons want to do. They are not alive. They've never been alive. They want to tear the church up from the inside out. And the Bible is very clear that we are the temple of God. So why do you think possessions occur? Because we are the temple, we are the church. So if a demon can get inside of us, they try to destroy from the inside out. And the more spiritual of a person you try to be, the worse it can get. But there are stages behind it. And we didn't even know this guy. We didn't even know. We didn't know he was looking for help. I think this guy was trying to take care of it on his own. I think for some reason he was able to enter the threshold, of what it was. But I'm telling you, as soon as the worship music started, that's when all chaos broke up.
See, Shane, what I'm thinking there is that's the reason I asked you what kind of church it was. I wonder if a preacher there did a deliverance on somebody there.
No, he didn't practice many. He didn't practice many deliverances. I would never be a part of a church that had it. Even in Bible college, when I was doing it, I learned about like non-apostolic deliverances and stuff like that. I was trained in both. I was trained by an exorcist, and I was trained in both, and they are totally different. And I've never seen any kind of deliverance where he's done in the church anything like that.
But it could. How old was the church? It could have been done by a pastor way before him.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, anything is possible, but no one had ever seen this guy before.
Okay. I was just wondering, that's what I was picking up on, that somebody did the deliverance in that church and that spirit's still around and it found the first available body it could find.
Or maybe tried one on him outside of the church.
Could have been. He could have picked it up. He could have invited it in.
Exactly. But dude, there's so many unanswered. It took us working, with him. I mean, through the rites and everything for about 3 hours before he was, and it was so strange because his body went from contorted. I mean, when I'm talking contorted, guys, I'm talking his wrists were so far back and his fingers were locked up like this. I don't know if you can do, but they were bent so far back. And I mean, you could not move his hand back into place. You could not move his body back into place. Whatever it was, the demonic that had him in that clutch had a tight grip on him to where it was so oppressive and so possessive that guy was not any longer for that period of time, that guy.
Yeah. So you think he had a total possession then?
Okay. Oh yeah, 100%.
Do you think it was just one, or was it?
No, it was one. It was definitely one. Because once we cleared everything, he was able to. We always do a testing. With holy water. The guy was sweating profusely, and I took holy water and put holy water into a cup, and he drank it. And somebody that's possessed can't drink holy water. They can't drink holy water. They can't touch a rosary. And I use a Benedict rosary, and that's one of the most powerful in spiritual warfare rosaries that you can get. is a Benedict rosary, because Benedict was the very first exorcist, successful exorcist. So when you use that, it's they can't touch that. And to have somebody that's that afflicted like that wouldn't be able to. Not a Bible, not a Benedict rosary, not holy water, not anything that represented a sacrament or anything that represented being close to Jesus.
I got to ask though, what's the last thing that entity did when it left?
What now?
What was the last thing that entity did when it left?
Screamed.
Like a
Well,
little.
he did. He did, because there was 2 or 3 different voices coming out of him.
Mm-hmm.
He was speaking different languages right off. And his eyes went from black to bloodshot. And I mean, it was once he got released, because you have to try to tap into the person that's still in there. And once that person realizes that his name, that the person that's in there, and that person starts fighting with you, the Bible said if 2 or more come together in the name of Jesus, he is there in the midst. So you got a man that's fighting from the inside. We're fighting from the outside. There's no way that the thing could have even had a chance of still being with that guy when it left.
Where does it go when it leaves?
Wherever it came from. Whenever you think when Jesus used to cast demons out, Jesus would walk up and the demon says, cast us into these swine. And the demons were cast into the swine ran into the water and they all drowned. So I guess the swine were died. But what people don't understand about that story in theology was that the Jewish people were not supposed to be swine herders. And the person that owned that property was a very devout Jew, very Hebrew Jew that was swining herd. So when Jesus came, he casted them into the pig and they were able to go in. But they go back where they're from. And not only that, but once they're cast, that's the reason in the past 5 years we've seen a rise go from not only possession but obsession. That was because a person that in possession, they have experienced something that they don't want to let go of. And if you invite that feeling, invite that back, not only does the demon come back, it brings back 7 times worse than what it was the first time it was there.
So it brings back legions.
Yes.
Because 7 actually is an acronym for a legion. So
6 is 6. 7 in theology is the number of completion.
Now 6 was actually, like if you're going to the 666,
it's the man. It's the number of man.
Actually, the history of that, the Jewish people were not allowed to call the Roman emperor by his name, so they gave them numbers. Emperor Nero was number 666.
Yeah, so of course. He was an antichrist.
Well, the never mind. I'm not going to go into biblical with it because you're a Christian and I'm not. So, I'm okay. But a lot of never mind. I'll just shut up because I don't want to offend you, Shane.
No, look. It takes a lot, man. Look, I've studied theology for 30 years, man. There's not much that can offend me.
Oh, believe me, I grew up in the Bible Belt where it was pounded in your head as it was truth, and history says otherwise. So,
I guess it depends on, who you are too, and what it means to you.
Well, I'm a spiritual person, not a religious person.
So hey, listen. I listen. I don't like religion either. I like relationship. That's the difference between me and everybody else.
That's a good thing.
You can keep your religion.
See,
Religion is a man-made thing. A relationship is a God-made to man thing.
and I
So
can agree with that. Now, religion itself was made by man to control man. So,
could be, could be if it was done like in the early centuries and stuff like that, where the Pope and stuff like that back in the day with the kings and stuff like that, the Pope had just as much pull as a king would. So if a pope said something back in that day, then it was golden, and the king would listen to it. And there's a lot of history behind that, and that's like most Catholics that I've seen, like they go from Roman Catholic to independent because they don't be tied down behind the pope anymore.
mhm. Did we lose sound?
I don't know.
No,
Something happened.
I had an 800 number trying to call me.
Oh, okay.
They're going to sell you a car warranty.
I had one of those yesterday.
Dude, you know what you do?
Well,
when
you know,
get those
as
calls? Dude, you have fun with them. When they call, go, everything's done. There's blood everywhere. I got to go. They will not call you back. I've done that several times. Or even
Hey,
better,
so
or I put a kid on the phone, tell him it's Santa Claus. That's hilarious.
You should have seen what my stepfather did to some because my mom used to have a hard thing with telling people not to come back by, and the Church of Latter-day Saints,
Oh,
you know,
Mormons.
they wanted to keep coming by and keep coming by, and my stepfather, he got really tired of it, so he answered the door butt naked.
Done that before. I've answered the door in black sheets, tell them we're having a human sacrifice. They want to be next. That's got rid of them. I had fun with them. They don't call you back no more. They don't come to your door no more.
They don't.
you can't leave out Jehovah's Witnesses. Come on.
Oh,
You
now,
know?
don't get me started on Jehovah's Witnesses. That's one religion I hate with a passion. And I'll tell you why. When my daughter was born, she had transposition of the great vessels. Her heart arteries were crossed. My ex-mother-in-law was a Jehovah's Witness. They showed up at the hospital demanding we not give that child blood. And I'd already given blood to my child. I basically told them if they didn't get out of the hospital, that I was going to manslaughter every one of them. At least they'd be in the hospital and be taken care of. But if they didn't leave, so I have no love for Jehovah's Witnesses. None.
Yeah, like part of my family on one side, they're all Jehovah Witnesses, like they're pastors and all this stuff. And it's funny because when someone passes away, unfortunately, I just found out that my uncle just passed away while we were conversing and while y'all were conversing. But it's just like it seems like when someone passes away and we go to the funeral, the Jehovah Witnesses sit on one side, and then like we sit on the other, and it's kind of funny because I just like what's the difference? Because then I can hear some of my family members like, oh well, let's just sit over here, like we're
No,
not Jehovah.
yeah, Shane, that's where my demonic beings come out when I see Jehovah's Witnesses. So I would probably I know I would say something to him because I have no filter anyway. I'd ask him,
Yeah, I think
how's your cult doing today?
and you know what? And I think that's one of the reasons why, it kind of separated my family because, they do believe their religion comes first beyond everything, even when it comes to family. And so, since my grandmother did not convert to being Jehovah Witness with her brother, then he couldn't speak to her anymore because she wasn't Jehovah
Any
Witness.
religion tells you
And
cannot speak to your family. That's just bullshit. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, and no, don't be. I mean, because my grandmother thought the same thing. I mean, shit, she was raised Mormon. I was raised Mormon for like a young part of my life, and she saw that as a cult, and unfortunately, like it is what it is. But that I think that's where it stimulated the dissatisfaction when it comes to Jehovah Witnesses, and most of them always think they're right. I used to work with one. He would make fun of me being a lesbian, and I'm like, dude, it's Saturday. Aren't you supposed to be knocking on doors instead of
No
talking
shit.
shit? So like we would just get at it and everything.
I'd be like,
But
look, you don't pay my bills. Don't tell me what sex life I have.
right.
I mean, I agree. Any person that wants to, I don't care if you're lesbian, gay, black, white, green, or gold. Do your thing. You don't pay my bills, so I don't care what you do. Do what you want to do.
I mean, I even have friends who came out who came out gay and lesbian, and they came from a strict Jehovah Witness family, and they were like, "Oh no, we accept you, but our religion doesn't. So
Oh my
therefore, we
God.
can't accept you." And I'm like,
See, that's the problem with organized religion.
like
is you should be able to do what you want to do. You're a grown ass adult. If you want to love women, love women. If you want to love men, love men. That's up to you. It ain't my place or Shane's place to tell
well,
you.
but I mean, bottom line, most people, if you really think about it, most people practice Satanism even if they're opening a Bible and going to church
Oh yeah,
every single day, because the philosophy of Satanism is do what you will, do what you want, you know,
yeah.
and when it comes to religion, when it comes to Satanism and the Bible and God, they basically come from the same place. You have to have balance,
Yep.
you have to have evil versus good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a balance, unfortunately. Hey, but guys, thank you for coming on my show tonight. I greatly
No problem.
appreciate it. It's been completely awesome. Thank you, everyone who has tuned in. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Christy. I see a whole bunch of stuff Christy has said. Thank you,
Chrissy,
Shane.
I love Chrissy.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nathaniel and Gwen. Oh, she's awesome. She's awesome. And y'all have a great evening coming up next. Oh no, I forgot. I am like on another time schedule because I was about to announce Nathaniel's show, but I'm not on there yet. I'm not there.
No,
He took my spot.
tonight we have
Who's up
Lee.
next?
Lee is doing her Native Matters little special type thing tonight with the chief of our tribe.
Hey, Chief, that's my
Yep.
tribe too.
Yes, that's right. And don't forget, Friday night, Monster Quest. Blaine is on there. Don't miss it. Don't miss any of them, but don't miss this one.
I just hope they
Don't
don't
miss
make me.
Blaine.
I hope I don't look like a goof on there. Is all I'm worried about.
Well, they did it very well. The episode
Yeah.
that's been on so far. I think you're safe. I'm sweating thinking about mine. So
I just want everybody to see it and experience what I got to experience. Now I couldn't say this on this show, but I'll tell you, my episode is scary. For what I saw, I don't ever want to see it again.
I can't
Okay,
wait.
I definitely want to check it out now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I can't
wait to. Well, thank you so much, guys.
We can talk about it on Monday. Thank you, Chris, for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Shane, I hope we're still brothers, man. Because
Yeah.
I didn't want to offend you, man. I just feel
There's nothing there. Believe me, man. Believe me. I've had a lot worse conversations than that.
Shane accepts.
And you know
all
what?
of
And that's
us
what I
for
love
real.
about Shane. Because Shane is, yeah, absolutely, man. Shane is always listening. I mean, even though he is bounded in his faith and grounded in his faith, he's always there to listen, to observe the other side. So that's what I love about Shane, and thank you so much for,
Yeah.
Being open-minded to that point because, that's what makes this world go around. And, that's what America is all about. We can be different, but you know what? We can love the same, right? So thank you so much, guys. And thank
Hey,
you
Chris,
for
hang on
tuning
just
in
one
to
second.
OUKAST Radio Podcast. Uh-oh.
Yeah, hang on just
And I
one
gotta
second.
wait
I'm gonna pull
one
the
second.
boys down. Yeah, hang on just one
All
second.
right,
We'll pull the
guys.
boys.
Pull the boys.
Okay. Did you tell me who you had next week? You want to tell the audience maybe?
Sure. I'm going to have next week. I'm going to have. Hold on one second. Um, dang, you put me on the spot,
I
and I
did.
just
Did you
had
say it?
like
I
a
put her
brain
right on the
fog.
spot,
Look,
folks.
I know you put me on the spot, girl. Like, girl, what you trying to do? What are
I'm
you
trying
trying to
to
do
get
to me?
our
Look,
viewers to get
look,
hyped up
I'm
about
trying.
next week.
I'm trying not to get like I'm trying not to get them mixed up. You know
Yeah.
who's coming, okay? Okay. So who we're gonna have next week? We're gonna have the Black Lantern Paranormal from
Okay.
Gettysburg, Pennsylvania,
Uh-huh.
and that should be pretty awesome because I am like really, interested in y'all's neck of the woods when it comes to the paranormal, and so we're
Cool.
especially Gettysburg. So yeah, we're definitely going to have a great time. They're going to talk about their experience, doing paranormal
Awesome.
investigation in Gettysburg. And that's like one of my bucket lists. I drove by Gettysburg, didn't know, and I started crying because I started feeling the energy
It is
over there.
intense.
And yes, yes,
When we were
ma'am,
there
it
for
is
the
intense.
yeah, when we were there for the Paracon, I know we were busy with that, but it was intense. But you guys, we're gonna sign off now, but don't miss it. Chris will put an ad out soon.
No, absolutely. And then the next week after, we're going to have Jen Schaefer and we're going to talk about the Bayou City bodies here in
Oh,
Houston, Texas. We've been having a number of bodies being found in the Buffalo Bayou area near downtown Houston. People say, "Hey, it's a serial killer." Other people like myself, like, "Hey, these people, died in different circumstances." And so we're going to talk about that and touch about the victims and
cool.
what law enforcement is saying, and everybody can draw their conclusions of what actually happened or what's actually going on. Do you believe it's a serial killer or not? You'll find out. So
Yep.
on the 22nd, no, on the 23rd, I think it's on the 23rd. So
All right.
y'all have a great evening. Watch Letriana. You won't regret it. I bet you it's going to be good, and I'll probably tune in too. So y'all have
Hope
a
so.
great evening, and thank you again.